Friends, welcome to the 100th episode of Agents Growth Academy. I could not be more excited to have the guest that I'm having on today. I couldn't think of a better person to have on to celebrate this milestone with us than someone who has taught me more about how to grow as an independent agent and work on my business and not in it as much than Chris Paradiso. And I just can't wait for him to teach you some of the things that he's taught me over the years about how to grow a world-class agency. So, my friends, welcome. And I will tell you that Chris Paradiso is one of the most passionate and dynamic agency owners in the insurance industry today. If you haven't met him, then just know that. If you have met him, you absolutely know that he's one of the most dynamic and energetic, I would say. Within his 25 years as a licensed insurance agent, Chris's unwavering dedication to exemplary customer service has led him to build and grow his agency to the 50-plus employees that it is today. Established in 2006, Paradiso Insurance recently won Safeco and Liberty Mutual's National Agent for the Future Award in 2019 and is currently licensed in 44 states with plans to be licensed in all 50 within the near future. Chris's clear vision has helped hundreds of other insurance agencies to push the envelope and find their own success, as well as through his coaching work with Paradiso Presents. He currently sits on the advisory board of Rough Notes, 101 Weston Labs, Phase 4 Veterans Wall, and Flagpole Committee. Chris has become a dear friend of mine over the years, and I am more than ecstatic to have him be here with us today. Chris, welcome to Agents Growth Academy, my friend.
Thank you, but more importantly, congratulations. Not a lot of people have gotten to 100 episodes, so you have done something remarkable, so congrats.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And today is like one of those days you and I were just talking off air that we've got so many things going on at once. And today is like another milestone because my son's graduating from high school finally. And I think about, what it's taken to get him to this point. And he's had some challenges, in the last couple of years. And I think about kind of like what we all go through as agents and some of the different challenges. I mean, we're in one of the hardest markets that we've ever been in. And I tell you what, if you're down here in Georgia, you're also battling the legal environment that we're struggling mightily to rectify. I was just on a few minutes ago with John Barber, who is the head of the Big I for Georgia, doing amazing things. But I'm just so curious to know from you, I asked you beforehand kind of what, if this were a mastermind, if this episode were a mastermind, what would it be titled? And you said, InsurTech, Unlocking the Art of Insurance. So my question for you is, was there a pivotal moment for you where you said, we need to unlock the art of insurance through InsurTech?
Yeah, I can tell you where I was sitting in 2009. I was next up to speak. I actually was asked to speak at the Breakers in beautiful, wealthy area of Florida.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that was speaking prior to me really hit me with his message. And his message was all about in the business versus on the business. And that gentleman changed my life because the notes I took, and I was one of those really specific guys. I was going to change things. I just needed the recipe. I listened to what he said.
Yeah.
And then I went after him afterwards and got to spend about an hour with him. And he helped me formulate a recipe that I then carried on to help several other agents to get out of working in the business to being a business owner versus an insurance agent business owner. And once that took place, that led me down to the customer experience in the eyes of the InsurTech world, because I knew in order to be different, we had to find ways to allow our clients to do business the way they wanted with us.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure a lot of agency owners think that way. We have to think from the point of view of our clients. That's why I always say the insurance app isn't for Chris Paradiso and Paradiso Insurance. The insurance app that we utilize is for our clients so
Yeah.
that they pay their bill on their time when they want and how they want. They
Yeah.
communicate with us the way they want to communicate, or have to file a claim and upload pictures and any other uh, services that they might need. But we have to look in the eyes of our clients, not in the eyes from behind the desk that we're selling insurance.
Yeah. I love that. That makes a lot of sense. And it makes me think of something that when you talk about experience, I remember one time you said to me, what as it relates to outsourcing some tasks in the agency, it stuck with me. Outsource the things that don't add value to the client experience.
So that's the key to success. We have to think differently, number one. And number two, we have to think in the eyes and ears and the placement of our clients and how they feel. Because remember, there's a very big difference between the customer experience and the customer service aspect. Customer service is how we do things. Customer experience is when I am done talking with Jim and he hangs up that phone, how did I and Paradiso Insurance make Jim feel? How did you walk away from that conversation feeling? That's the customer experience.
So a lot of that makes sense. And what I'm kind of curious to know is, can you give us some boots on the ground examples of ways that we can enhance that client experience? Like either whether pieces of technology or processes,
Sure.
or I know you're big on processes.
Yeah, processes are vitally important, but a lot of people love to ask, hey, what are you utilizing for some pieces of technology? We've been utilizing AI now for roughly 2.5 years. And the AI we're utilizing is all about making sure our clients not only are happy with our services and the way we're treating them, it's also how happy they are with the carrier. And it also digs into finding opportunities that we may be missing for our clients. So all revolving around the customer experience. So let me just give you a quick example. So
Yeah.
for example, Jim, you called in, or your wife called in, and she surprised you on your birthday with a new car. She didn't want to tell you, and uh, she didn't get an ID card, so she calls back.
Yeah.
That AI that is listening to every phone call and reading every email is going to say she called back because we dropped the ball. It's going to give what they call a centimeter score. And that centimeter score is very different than a net promoter score, because a net promoter score is my agency sending Jim an email and Jim saying, from scale on 1 to 10, how well did we do? 8. Okay, great. Jim gave us an 8.
Yeah.
Centimeter score is the score that it's a net promoter score without me ever asking Jim how we're doing. But it's going to pick up my nuances is, okay, Jim's wife's calling back a second time, 6 hours later, asking, hey, I never received the insurance card and certificate and the information that they needed. It's vitally important. So that centimeter score, that AI is listening to the phone call.
Whoa.
And it's updating our team on if we're doing really well or if we're not doing so well. We're human beings. We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That AI isn't there to slap you on the hand. That AI is there. It is great for me to say, hey, Jim, I'm just picking up hey, Jim, I'm just picking up the phone. I noticed we had a little mishap yesterday. We dropped the ball on your insurance card. I just want to let you know we understand your frustration. We're looking into how it happened. I'm not sure. Maybe the day got away from us. Maybe there was an error. I just want to apologize and let you know that we realize that you were a little bit frustrated, and we're going to make sure to do our best the next time. So we
Wow.
appreciate your patience. And that is a great piece of technology that is instrumental to the customer experience. Yes, it plays a role in customer service, but the customer experience is the true, in my opinion, the truth behind your true retention numbers. Your retention numbers are at 80%. I guarantee you it's because of the customer experience.
Yeah.
So That piece of technology has been instrumental. We have multiple other pieces of technology we're utilizing, but I would say that's the number one piece of technology. That tool is also integrated. It's called Donna, but it's also integrated with ClientCircle, which is also getting our Net Promoter Score. So I often get, hey, what's more important to the customer experience? Is it the Net Promoter Score or the Centimeter Score? Neither. You need both.
Okay.
You need both. You need both because one is actually telling you you need to listen to your clients, listen to them, reach out to them, respond to them. So every time we get a Net Promoter Score back, and if it's an 8 or lower, we're picking up the phone. Hey, Jim, we really appreciate your business, number one. Number two, you sent back a survey and you gave us an 8. We appreciate that 8, but we at Paradiso Insurance always want to work and strive for a 10.
Yeah.
What can you give us for feedback?
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely instrumental to
Yeah.
reach out to your clients and ask them how we can improve. And then listen and find ways to implement.
And it sounds like that requires some level of vulnerability on both the agent's part, but also the agency owner's part, who's kind of like asking your folks to do this, because I think it's hard probably for a lot of people to fall on their swords and say, we dropped the ball. Right. So how do you?
Not anymore.
No?
Not anymore. No,
Yeah.
It's hard in the beginning, but when you realize and you look in the mirror, Jim, we're all human.
Yeah.
Nobody ever goes through a week without making a mistake. We are human beings.
Yeah.
We have to look in the mirror and acknowledge we do make mistakes, number one. And number two, when we make a mistake, one of our 12 promises we make all clients is we're going to own that mistake. When you own that mistake, Jim, I promise you one thing, the mistake goes away.
Yeah.
And an analogy in sports, a really simple analogy as a diehard Yankee fan is Andy Pettitte, one of the great left-hand pitchers, yes, he pitched for my beloved Yankees, took performance-enhancing drugs to heal some injuries. Mm-hmm. He admitted it. You've never heard another word about it. Sammy Sosa, Roger Clemens, the guy for the St. Louis Cardinals. You were
Pete Rose?
No, not Pete Rose. McGuire.
Okay.
When you don't admit it, it's prolonged and held over your head. There's a black cloud over your head and there's thunderstorms.
Yeah.
But there isn't over Andy Pettitte's because he admitted it. He moved on and said, hey, I took him in order to help heal me so I could get back on the mound. So the only reason why I tell the story is as I encourage my teammates, if we make a mistake, own the mistake, but bring a solution to the problem that we might have created.
Get out ahead of it first before it becomes a larger issue, which it sounds like, especially that Centimeter Score, which is fascinating. And I've learned a little bit about Donna from you, and we just got it as an endorsed solution through Secure Risk, which is an aggregator that we belong to here in Georgia. And I can only imagine that the power of that, of being able to get out ahead of things. I know there's a guy in our agency, John Hall, he's my right-hand man, and he says all the time, look, kind of tongue in cheek, right? Like, you can blow anybody off for any amount of time as long as you tell them you're going to do it ahead of time. And the whole thing is you got to set the client's expectations. And it sounds like what Donna's doing is also to help set our expectations of like, hey, alert, there's a potential issue over here. Yeah. We're just sort of picking up. And I guess, is it called the Centimeter Score because it's like assessing sentiment?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it. Yeah.
Yep.
That
and
makes
the other
sense.
thing it does that we're humans and we don't always, we make mistakes is we do account reviews with all of our AAA and AA clients, right? And and we reach out to our single A. But the goal on that is when I'm reaching out to Jim, that AI is also funneling and feeding information from a third party where they pull in the information in, such as what is the average income per household on the street you live in? And you're going to probably say to me, why is that important? Well, I come from the life insurance side. So I had my securities license. So we always dealt with a financial needs analysis.
Yeah.
So in the life insurance and financial needs, the financial world, we ask people how much money they make. In the property and casualty, it's like taboo, right?
Yeah.
Can't ask that.
Yeah.
How can we properly give the right expertise if we don't ask the question? We assume $1 million. How many agencies assume I offered them $1 million umbrella? Well, do you really think $1 million is going to do much for Judge, who has a 400, $500 million contract? $1 million really isn't much.
No.
So we have to stop assuming. And the AI inside of Donna is instrumental of bringing in that data of some opportunities of making sure we're offering the right umbrella.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the right umbrella? Well, if it's a million, it's a million, but in a lot of cases, it's much more than a million.
Yeah.
Just like it helps us with the conversation, just like a great tool like Pinterest. The AI inside of Donna is integrated with a third party that's pulling in. It may say Jim likes golf.
Yeah.
Great, helps on the conversation, right?
Sure.
Those are all invaluable pieces to the customer experience, also to properly cover you. So I personally feel it's a great tool, just like ClientCircle, which is also integrated with Donna. I thought it's a great integration because both of those tools, when it comes to the customer experience, are critical of having. So you need both. Don't just get a net promoter score. Don't just get a centimeter score. In my personal opinion, if you want to be the best, you need both pieces of technology.
I love it. And you talk about ClientCircle. Is that like a CRM?
No, that used to be Rocket Referral, I believe.
That's right.
And then it changed its name to Client Circle a couple of
Okay.
years ago. What a lot of people think is ClientCircle is just for Net Promoter Score, but it has several other amazing pieces of technology. Number one, a live chat that goes right to our cell phone for no extra cost. If
Wow.
you are a ClientCircle client and you don't have that, get on the phone with your rep, because there's also 3 or 4 other critical pieces of technology that is built within ClientCircle. And we've been on it for probably 8 years.
Wow.
I tell everybody, I wish I was smart enough to start such a simple piece of technology that does so much for our agency.
That's awesome. It makes me think when you're talking about these different things integrating with each other. I know I've heard you talk a lot over the years about the importance of processes and having systems in place. And some of the things that really fascinated me, and I'm hoping you can kind of share with the audience a little bit of, peel back the curtain a little, is some of the processes that you guys have in place. Like I've heard you talk about the importance of voicemail drops and how you use those in a very systematic way with a lot of other moving parts that as a whole seem to create such a wonderful client experience like you're talking about.
Well, if you think about it in today's time, how many people pick up the phone and call, and you're calling a friend or you're calling an acquaintance? How many times do people pick up the phone?
Rarely. Ever.
Rarely. And it's funny, everybody says rarely. They never give out a number, but it's rarely. So what I felt is, why would we cause all this extra work on our teammates?
Yeah.
Use a drop call. Some call it a drop call. Some call it a ringless call.
Yep.
And it has the voice of our teammates that they're used to talking to. So it's there.
Yep.
That drop call is done and pre-recorded, and it's very simple. And they pre-record one message and it goes out to hundreds of people. And that drop call gets in there, and then not a minute later, an email is followed up. Hey, Jim, it's Chris Paradiso. I just left you a message. Please give me a call at your earliest convenience. Your renewal's coming up. I'd love to do an account review to make sure you're properly covered. Right?
Yeah.
So what did we do? We just have two touch points.
Yeah.
With a drop call and an email done by a virtual assistant in a matter of 2 minutes max. Most cases, a minute and a half. So that follow through then is vitally important. That client knows we're looking for them, and they might be in work. They call us during lunch, right? That's why everybody should be open at lunch, or at least have staggered hours, right?
Sure.
So let the client call back when they are available. But using technology on those 2 touch points is incredible for our clients, but it's even better for our culture in our agency. because now they're not calling 100 people to be able to talk to 20 people.
Yeah, that makes sense. You'll notice I have a slightly different look now. For whatever reason, I keep having camera problems, but the recording's still going. So you guys are just getting a little bit more of a sneak peek of what my studio looks like
It's
if
all
you're
good.
watching this on YouTube.
It's all good.
And if not, then we're just going to keep going with the voice.
Can I just
So,
interrupt you one quick second?
yeah,
You asked a specific question, and I just want to make sure I answer it because you talk processes and procedures.
yes,
Without processes and procedures, this can be a nightmare. The drop calls
yeah,
with the follow-up email. So the processes and procedures, what I like to say is it's like Ford in the early 1900s when they created what? The line, the famous line.
okay, the assembly line. I
Correct.
was like the Model A, the Model T. Okay.
No, the assembly
Yeah,
line
yeah,
changed
yeah,
everything. And who would
yep,
ever think 100 years later, which
yeah,
is maybe a little more, that robots are now on the assembly line?
right.
So if we think back and we think the way we used to think, if you ask somebody early 1900s, hey, Henry Ford, if Henry Ford says, hey, what do you think we need in the coming 10 years?
Yeah.
People would have responded prior to cars, a faster horse.
Right.
True. It's fact.
Yeah.
So somebody asks me today, what are we thinking about in the next 10 years? I'm going to challenge them to say ease of use on how they purchase their insurance. We have to figure out less time because in this very busy world, people are distracted. Social
Yeah.
media plays an enormous distraction in our lives. We have
Sure.
to figure out a way. So I firmly believe in the coming 2, 3 years, there is going to be technology that we will just take an address and it will magically give us all the information. And within moments, there'll be a quote. And
I
it's
mean,
going to
I
change.
believe it with as much
It's going
with
to
as
change the
much
way we do
information
business.
as we freely give, to Google and all these other entities that are collecting information on us. I don't doubt it.
That's not 10 years out. If
Yeah.
that's 3 years out, I'll be shocked. I firmly
Yeah.
believe it's 12 months out, and people are saying, really? So what does that mean?
Yeah.
That means we have to fine tune our communication skills. The
Yep.
biggest thing we fail at in the insurance space is great communication. Why? We don't listen,
Yeah.
or we don't follow through, right?
Yeah.
So, like John says to you, the most important thing you can do before you blow off Jim is to let them know you're going to blow them off,
Exactly.
and they're not mad. And I
Yeah.
say the same thing with communication. People
Yeah.
say, "Hey, you know, I'm I took your information, Jim. This is great. I'll be in touch with you in the near future." That's the
Yeah.
worst thing you can do. It's like going to the doctors. They bring you in a waiting room, right, into the room, and you sit
Yeah.
there. Well, my mom and I was with my mom when she had cancer, and my dad.
Yeah.
The doctor forgot us for 4 hours.
What?
He came in and he called himself, "I'm the late Dr. Doyle," and we laughed. And it was amazing. We walked out of that room, how fuming we were for 4 hours. We walked
Yeah.
out of that room smiling and giggling because the doctor had a heck of a personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went and we had an amazing meal. I'll never forget the day, but none of us were mad at the meal.
Yeah.
The
Because he
doctor had
owned it.
left us feeling good that he was apologetic. It was a major mistake. And he had a
Yeah.
great personality about it that he had us all laughing.
That's awesome. Yeah. It sounds like he owned it. Like you said
He
before,
did.
like he owned the mistake and just moved on
He
from
did.
there. Yeah. Yeah. And good for you for giving him a second chance. Cause I think a lot of people would be so mad they can't see past that. But yeah,
Well,
when somebody
my,
takes the time
my
to
grandfather
bring it.
always said, you said something interesting earlier, you
Yeah.
know, difficult times in the market. And,
Yeah.
if things aren't difficult, my grandfather had a very famous quote in my life.
Yeah.
Uh, don't pray for an easy life, pray for a hard life because an easy life isn't worth living.
Yeah. That's good. I love that. I love that. So Tell me about how some of the technology that you're using to improve that client experience, is there any piece of that that wraps around to I mean, because we're independent agents, right? So we're in a sense, the intermediary, the middleman, so to speak, between the client and the carrier. Is any of that technology wrapping around on the carrier side to help with the client experience in any way?
Well, I can say that there are specific carriers that are working on this.
Okay.
So yes, um, my concern is that the large majority of them are not.
Yeah.
So you know, you we are, as I was saying to you earlier prior to the recording,
Yeah.
we can do things in a big way to make the customer experience better, but we're still limited because we're limited by the carriers and the way they communicate with us, number one, and most importantly the way their technology in a lot of cases is very outdated. So
Yeah.
we are limited. How we fix this, Jim, is agents start showing up at InsurTechs. That's at these conferences, at these meetings, because in these large InsurTech conferences, whether it's in Vegas or Hartford, which is a fantastic InsurTech,
Yeah.
if agents show up, they're going to see that there are carriers, very influential higher ups of these carriers that are there. And
Mm.
if we agents would show some interest and show that we want them to change, then I think they will change. But unfortunately, a lot of the times, I'm the only agent at an InsurTech, not in Vegas because it's enormous, but
Yeah.
I was just at one 4 weeks ago here at the Mohegan Sun, put on by Stacy Brown, InsurTech Hartford. It's called the InsurTech or Hartford Symposium.
Yeah.
I was well, I shouldn't say that. There was one other agent that flew in from Kentucky, Christian Moore, but there was only two of us out of
Yeah.
about 800 or 900 participants, which
Yeah.
shows that agents don't really care enough.
Yeah.
At least that's what the carriers say, and I can't blame them for saying that. I've had quite a few conversations there, and then they said, "Chris, until more of you show up here, uh, we're not going to spend the money or invest the money um, until we know that you and the independent agents really want it, and you're willing to utilize it, and it matters."
Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking at first that like, oh, we have to put the pressure on them, but it's not so much pressure as just interest. Like if we're
It's
not
interesting.
engaged and interested
Yeah.
in it, then they probably think, well, then it doesn't matter. Then we're not going to spend our time
Once
and money.
again, it means agents are stuck in the business, not on the business. Why am I there? I am there for one reason. What Take some pain points, right?
Yeah.
For example, I met a gentleman named Carl, right?
Yeah.
Gaya, Gaya, and he asked me, "What's your biggest pain point?" I said, "Double entry." Not my biggest pain point, but my teammates who are
Yeah.
actually typing all of it. Double
Yeah.
entry is a huge pain point. He's created a super paste. Why? Because he knows that it's an enormous pain point, not only for Paradiso Insurance, but I guarantee you for your agency, Jim, and
Yeah.
many other, every agency. And there's other pain points. But if we can get to the right InsurTech people and show them our pain points, they are building technology to help assist us. So we need to do a better job, Jim.
Yeah, we do. And it makes me think, you know, in hearing you over the years talk about different aspects of the client experience and in using different pieces of the puzzle, all these different insurtech companies to kind of create this cohesive client experience. What are some of the biggest challenges that you see to agents? Like, why are they so resistant, I guess? And what's the solution to that? Because I know a lot of agents, you know, because you keep talking and it makes sense. And I totally understand because I used to work in the business and now I work on the business. I haven't written a lick of insurance in 8, 10 years since my father retired. And thank goodness I have a good team around me. And I know you and I both run EOS in our agencies, and that's a big part of what allows us to do that. But what do you say to an agent who's just like, they know what they need to do, but they're resistant to that technology?
It's fear. And what is fear? Fear is 100% made up in your head.
Yeah.
Fact. It is not real. Fear is
Yeah.
not real. And until you can face your fears, and let's be brutally honest, people, we make excuses. What's an excuse? An excuse is just something for me to tell you, Jim. It's just not that important. I
Yeah.
tell my kids, just like I tell my teammates.
Yeah.
Too busy is an excuse. Too
Yeah.
busy are two words that should be thrown out.
Yeah.
It's like try hard. Try hard just means I tried, but I failed and it's okay. No, no, no. Don't try your
Yeah.
best. Do your
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
So too busy is another really bad thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, and I would tell you, yes, EOS has been instrumental. I know it's been instrumental in your life. It's instrumental in my life, and I
Yeah.
would I would challenge you. You said, "Hey, I have really good people." No, you have great people. The reason why you can work on your business is because you have great teammates.
Yeah.
Great teammates allow guys like me and you, or business owners like me and you, to be able to work on our business to take it to the next level. So
Yeah.
invest in your people, invest in the customer experience, invest in them. Don't
Yeah.
think small ball. Small ball is it's interesting. I was just on a call this morning with an agent, good friend. He's like, Chris, I cannot get this guy. His closing ratio is just atrocious. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I won't say his name. I said, hey, so who's his sales coach? And he says to me, he doesn't have a sales coach. Okay. He's a teammate of yours, right? He's a good guy. Yeah. Is he a hard worker? Scale on 1 to 10, he's 9. He works hard, man. The guy puts time in. What are
Yeah.
you doing to invest in him to become a better salespeople? You need to
Yeah.
look in the mirror, because
Yeah.
it's not him, it's you. It's the same with people saying, hey, during a hard market, we invest in a lot of sales coaching, right? We work with Premier Strategy Box, who's instrumental in working with our salespeople every single week. Why?
Yeah.
Because we need to invest in them to become better. And that is what separates the good from the great.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe it because I've seen it in my own agency. I've seen it in some other people's agencies, and there's a lot of things that I still need to work on my agency. But yeah, to your point, we have to invest in our people. Otherwise, there's a lot of other places they could go, right?
And the
I
reason why
mean,
I went down that rabbit hole and I kind of redirected your question was
yeah,
it's the same as technology.
yeah,
People don't want to invest in it. It takes time, it takes energy, but most importantly, I think the biggest hang up that stops people is money.
yeah,
And I will tell you, if you're not, it's just like investing in yourself, Jim. Do you have an accountability coach? Do you have a life coach? Do you have a business coach? People say to me, Chris, how many coaches do you have? I said, I have the same amount as Michael Jordan had. And Michael Jordan was on top of his game. And you know what he had? A lot of coaches.
yeah,
So I will always challenge people. I spend a lot of money on me, because if I can't get better, I can't assist my team and do the right thing to help them get better, get stronger. So I challenge people, just as reading, that's investing in you,
yeah,
with an accountability coach, with a business coach. You want to get better? You need a coach.
yeah. I love it. It makes a lot of sense, my friend. Hey, I want to get into a rapid fire round with you
Sure.
before we end because I want to learn a little bit more about you, to share with our audience some of the things that are important to you. Um, this is so appropriate. What's one piece of technology that you can't live without besides what you've talked about today?
Hawksoft.
Okay. Why?
Because I know my teammates really understand the tool. And I know
Yep.
people say it's an agency management system, but we hired Peggy Corbett and my team knows how to use it properly. Once again, why is it so important? You're going to say to me, that's the most boring answer I've ever gotten on a question. Why? Because agency owners don't want to invest money and time into making sure our teammates know how to use the tool. The same with
Yeah.
your iPhone. The average American only uses 39% of the iPhone's capabilities because we don't know how to use it. We don't invest time and energy into learning how to use
And we're
it's
paying a
hawk
ton
off.
of money for these phones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, paying a ton of money for some of these agency management systems and other tools that we use. But yeah, that makes sense.
Not a
I
sexy
like that.
answer, but I can assure you it's an answer that's truthful about my team who absolutely loves Hawksoft, number one. And it Hawksoft plays a huge role in their life every day and how they do
Yeah.
business. So
Well, I've also heard you say, and this is important, I think, for a lot of agents. I've heard you say that Hawksoft is the only agency management that does not own your data.
there may be one other, but
Okay.
from my
Okay.
understanding
Okay.
of all the management systems, and remember,
Yeah.
some people challenged me on this, and I said, okay, just ask your agency management system if you decide to come off of it and go to another one, how much it costs. And at
Hmm.
that point, if they give you a dollar amount, you don't own your data.
Whoa. Wow. Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's
So if
interesting.
they tell you zero, then you own your data.
Yeah.
And Hawksoft's the only one, and I've been on quite a few. I've been on Hawksoft the longest. Um, but I can assure you, 99% of people that are listening to this that aren't on Hawksoft, they're going to have to pay a fee for their data, which means they don't own their data.
Yeah. Yikes. Scary.
It is.
Makes sense though. What's one book you're reading now or one that you've read that you just highly recommend on any subject that you would recommend to folks today?
One is, I wish I could answer one, but I'm going to give you three really quick. Relentless,
Go.
Tim Grover. Absolutely critical. A must read. Relentless. And followed up by his second book, Winning. Absolutely
Okay.
critical. Um, I'll give you one other. I would tell you Traction by Gino Wickman.
Yeah. Yep.
I could go on and
Which
on
is
and on. I read a minimum of one
yeah.
book a week, but usually two. Finished up Elon Musk's book. Don't know if I like him or not. Doesn't matter. What you can learn in his book, if you don't take risk and believe in yourself, ultimately, you will never get to the level that he got to that level because he was willing to take risk and he believed in his passion and his belief in himself
Yeah.
and what he was doing.
Oh, that's awesome. I have that book. I have not cracked it open yet.
Phenomenal.
So yeah, awesome. I love it. What's what's one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
Stop worrying about what others think. Number one. Number two, invest in relationships in the industry. Not
Yeah.
not just carriers. More importantly, with other agents. Number one thing you should do: invest and surround yourself with your average of the five people you hang around with most. I would
Yep.
challenge you to find five people inside the insurance space that you admire, and whatever reasons you may admire them or love what they're doing and how they're doing things or doing things different. Surround yourself with them, entrench yourself in them, and don't be afraid. Pick that phone up and call them, ask them. Kobe Bryant picked up the phone and called Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan used to say, "You're asking me the most ridiculous questions." And if you listen to what Michael Jordan said at Kobe Bryant's funeral, you will see that's the best advice I can give you. Pick that phone up
Yeah.
and build a relationship with them. And there is no question that is too stupid. Any question you think about that you need to know, you ask them, and don't be embarrassed. Don't worry about what others think.
Yeah. And I have to say, Chris, I mean, on a personal note, like I don't think there's many people that do what you just said better than you in our industry. You've connected so many great people together, but you also demonstrate, I think, to people what it looks like to invest in relationships, and I really do appreciate that about you. So thank you, my
Well,
friend.
my grandfather used to say you have to have a backbone. And when you have a backbone, you are going to have enemies. If you have no enemies, you've had no backbone in life. So I
Yeah,
would rather die with a few enemies and having a backbone. And it's critical. It's being true and real to yourself.
yeah. Your grandfather's made it on the show twice today. He
Yeah.
seems like a great guy.
He led my dad. My dad was my mentor, my best friend, my everything. So
Yeah.
my grandfather was a World War I hero. The
Wow.
story is being read in about 8 days that I'm going to video and I'm going to post. And, he earned 6 medals And
Oh my
I can't wait
gosh.
to share
Wow.
that with the world, because my I understand why my dad was such a phenomenal mentor to me, because he had such a phenomenal mentor. And I'm trying to do that with my son, but I'm also trying to do that in the industry, uh,
Yeah.
with people, agency owners, producers. I want to leave my stamp. I want to push people, um,
Yeah.
you know. And
Well, you,
I'm okay having an enemy or two.
yeah. Yeah. So based on everything we talked about today, before we wrap it up, what's one piece of advice that you would leave our listeners with, just based on what we discussed today around
I think
technology?
I think the number one thing, and I've said it a lot, is you really have to hone in on processes and procedures. Once again,
Yeah.
yeah, I could also given you that answer back, and what looking at the young Chris. The young Chris did not have processes and procedures. Another major
Okay.
mistake. That wasn't my number one, but it's up there, and it's maybe 1A.
Yeah.
I would say process and procedures for every aspect of your business. Every aspect, from the way you answer the phone to the way you shut down your phone system, to every process that's being put in the agency management system. Every aspect of your business should have a process and procedure for one reason, Jim. If
Yeah.
you want to get to the next level and you want to train people properly and invest in people, you need to have processes and procedures. And it's the only way you're going to have good and clean data. So, processes and procedures, I'll preach it to the high heavens. Um, most agencies just don't have them, and that's why, meeting with Anurag at Donna, I asked him, "What's the biggest um, issue you've had working in the property and casualty?" Because they came from the life side. He said the number one thing is the data is so bad inside of the independent agency management system that we had
Yeah.
to create a piece of technology to fix that data, just to clean it up enough so we could do something with it.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe it. Well, Chris, my friend, thank you so much for being with us today. If people want to get more Chris Paradiso in their lives, what's the best place for them to go?
I tell people, pick the phone up and call me on my cell phone. I give my cell phone out. Um, there are some very brave people who are fearful of picking up the phone and calling me. I don't know why. I'm an agent just like you. Um, 860-836-1230 is my cell phone. I tell people, pick up the phone, call me. If I don't answer, text me. I am having a little issue with my phone. It's not taking messages. So I tell people, text me. Hey, this is Jim from Georgia. I'd love to communicate with you. Do you have some time? I will text you back as soon as I can, and we will get on the calendar, and we'll do our best to be as brutally honest and share as much knowledge as we can with you.
I love it. And I know you will, because you've done it with me and countless others. Chris, thank you so much. You stick around with me for just a second, but for everybody else, grow big or go home. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.